Davina, thank you so much for joining us here at IMpower. Great to have you. In your COO role, what key part do you play in making sure that at the moment, with all the challenges that this industry face, you're doing the absolute best you can for your business and your clients?
Absolutely. So I think the COO role is an interesting one. I took my first COO position, which is this one, 2 years ago. So I joined in lockdown, so a full lockdown experience for probably the first 18 months. So that probably puts a slightly different tilt on my experience, or first experience as a COO. But having said that, I think I always think of the COO role as a real enabler for growth, and also as a facilitator for change. Within my function, I have not just the traditional kind of teams for a COO function in terms of operations and IT, but what we've done with our COO role is to really consolidate and have under my guardianship all of the teams that have operational aspects. So we've included performance data, which is obviously a very hot topic, so data across the organisation. I also have enterprise risk and investment risk, which is a little bit unusual, but again, I think operational processes, data are common themes. And then aside from that, I also have a dotted reporting line from client services and also from our investment presentation teams. So we've tried to, where we've got commonality across the piece, we've joined that up so that we can really play that role as an enabler and a facilitator for the business.
It's really interesting what you're saying there about how your role is slightly different to the traditional one, though. Are you seeing that as a trend in terms of the transformation of that COO role, and how has that got to happen, if you like?
I think so, absolutely. And I think if you rewind probably only 5 or 6 years, I think most COOs were in effect head of operations or maybe head of operations and IT. And I think that there's been a few things that have happened in the world over the last sort of half a decade or so. I think technology is one. If you go back that time, you probably still had large teams of operations doing the doing, and a lot of that has been automated. The second one is really, I think the outsourcing models have matured quite a lot. So rather than just outsourcing what you had, I think that's facilitated a change in the model as well. And that's meant that really the COO function, if you like, can move up the value chain within the organisation, and it doesn't have to concentrate on everything to do with the day-to-day. A lot of that can be outsourced and automated, and it means that if you've got the right people in your teams, you can focus on contributing and adding value to the organisation. And I think I genuinely believe, and certainly in my situation, the COO role has a big role to play in terms of furtherment from a business perspective as well.
It sounds like a big role to play in that digital transformation piece, and also, I suppose, keeping the ship steady, if you like. With all this digital transformation that's happening, there still needs to be that cost efficiency built in there. That could be something the COO is very much at the heart of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the first thing I would say, you still need to invest to grow. So you still need to have, at least a midterm cost horizon to budget around what you think that you need to do. But the world is moving at such a pace that needs to be reviewed all of the time. And I think it's, now I think the focus is away from large, hugely costly technology projects that take, 2, 3, 5, 10 years even, where you're putting in brand new systems and changing everything. I think it's about partnership, looking for the right people to work with, whether it's platforms, whether it's providers, whether it's services, whether it's new fintechs, and using some of the new technology to sort of add on to your process. So there's a value add straight away, rather than getting really internalized and into sort of these big projects. And by doing that, actually, the cost of that isn't. The profile is completely different to saying, I need £5 or £10 million to invest in a big transformation project internally.
If you are looking for those good collaborative partnerships, what do you look for in the leaders of those companies you partner with, and how important is it to build that relationship with people that you know, trust, perhaps have even met at an event like this?
Well, I always say that at its heart, asset management is a people business. So everything around it facilitates what we do. And I mean, you mentioned trust there, and I think that's the key. So being able to understand the way a partnership might work, knowing the people, having trust in their integrity and the way that they will run their business, but also, I guess, a shared passion to really kind of to grow and to look for new ideas. And I think that again is sort of the exciting part of what we can do now. And you know, there's been some great examples on the stages here that we've heard from various different people, and we've got some of our own sort of examples as well. And one of the places we're really looking to do something different at the moment is in the ESG data space. So we're certainly not the only asset manager looking to do that. But I think, you know, it's a green field, really. It's probably the first topic that we've had in the asset management industry in a while that we can really start from scratch on and say, how do we want to do this? How do we build this from the bottom? And how do we get it right? So how do we not make all of the mistakes we've made in the past? You know, and everyone is so enthusiastic and so engaged now, I think, around that topic. You know, again, it's one of those topics that certainly as a COO now, you know, a lot of that comes under my leadership, whereas in the past, I think, you know, talking about transforming roles of COOs, that may have not naturally sat sort of in the COO function space.
And it sounds from the way you're talking about there, you're pretty pleased it does too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think, you know, having fresh challenges as they come along, being able to really be part of, you know, the business growth and the business strategy. You know, with all of my teams, our focus is about enabling the business, not being a barrier to that growth. You know, and where we can you know, be the best we can at facilitating change. I think that, you know, it's really part of the DNA I try to incorporate across all of my teams.
Davina, it's really great to hear your purpose. Thank you so much for sharing it with us and being at IMpower.
My pleasure, thank you.